Football Eve, right? I love it, man. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now Monday. Fantastic, man. We are going to get an appetite of football for the next couple days, and I cannot wait. By the way, bottom of the hour, Merrill Reese will join us. The legendary voice of the Philadelphia Eagles and our Football Insider Hall of Fame voter, Jason Cole, will join us at 5:30 Eastern. So we're pretty packed. Please, either just sit and listen, join us any way you want. I know you have so many options out there, and we appreciate it each and every single day that you come aboard with us here. All right, I want to start out by doing this, and we're going to start out on a great note today. Boy, I'll tell you what. If I was sitting in a locker next to Fletcher Cox, and I heard Fletcher Cox say this, man, I'll tell you what, this kid right here should have been the first player taken in the NFL draft. I'm going to look over at that, and what a motivating moment that is for a young player like Jalen Carter. To hear that kind of confidence in me and to hear that kind of comment that he's making about me to the media, having only seen me in a handful of practices and some game situations with these organized team activities, it's quite a compliment. That's quite a compliment. I mean, if you watch him, Jalen Carter, let me put this out here to you. When I watch Mazi Smith, the D tackle for the Cowboys, and I watch Jalen Carter, it's not close. They look like two different dudes. Mazi Smith looks fat, out of shape, and slow. Jalen Carter looks like a star that just needs to do it. And you see why a guy like Fletcher Cox, dude, players like Fletcher Cox just don't go like this. This guy looks like a great football player. He should have been the number one player in the NFL draft. Boy, do I take that and put a stamp on it. If Fletcher Cox is saying that, I know I'm right about this guy. Holy cow. Is that cool? I'm going to expand even more here in a minute. You got the veteran guys in that locker room motivating the younger ball players and encouraging. What a great environment the Eagles have. Fletcher's so confident in his career and who he is. I was glad to hear him say he'd like to play between 40 and 45 snaps. I probably think the Eagles would like to have that number down a little more, around 30 to 40, somewhere in there, so they could get Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter on the field. You want to see those two guys more on the field this year than you do want to see Jordan Davis and Fletcher Cox. I do, because that's your future. I'm not going to put that at the expense of the present, but that's my future, man. Davis and Carter are my future. Okay? They're your future. To hear him say that, man, that's great stuff. It's great confidence building. Let me tell you something. I'm going to say it one more time to you. Veteran players can look at a guy and maybe take a day to go, I don't know. And then you look at a guy and you go, wow, holy shit. You see that first step? Dude, you know what's funny? When you're looking at a defensive tackle, the first step kind of is symbolic, because if he has it, you can build on it. If he doesn't have quickness off the ball, you cannot play in that league. I don't care if you're a kicker. You cannot play in that league if you're not quick off the ball, offense or defense. If you don't have quick twitch, man, I'm telling you, you can't play. You just can't. And when I watch Mazi Smith for the Cowboys and I hear them talking about him, I'm like, I don't see what they're looking at. I see a guy who's going to get the shit blocked out of him. You put Mazi Smith, the first-round draft choice, in a game against the Eagles, They will block that guy's dick into the dirt. It will not be close. Jason Kelce will kill that guy. You can't be slow with Dickerson and Kelce and Cam Jurgens, Tyler Steve. You can't let the offensive lineman be a better athlete than you. The better athletes are usually on the defensive line side. You see, that's what you got that's a premium in Philly. Your offensive linemen are some of your greatest athletes. That's unheard of. Your two bookend offensive tackles could easily be your best athletes on the team. Nobody moves at that size like that. Jordan Mailata at 6'8", 350 pounds, that's Shaq O'Neal stuff. Lane Johnson, the way he moves, I mean, these two guys, you could play defensive tackle. They got great athletes in the O-line in Philly. They really took it to the Browns from what I understand in the second practice. And they really did a great job against the Browns. Both sides of the ball, you heard a little bitching from the offensive guard for the Cleveland Browns. And, hitting Deshaun Watson late, good. You're building an attitude up. You're building an identity up. You don't like it? Fight him. You don't like him? Block him. I like it. Slapping the ball out of his hand. Well, that stuff that's not supposed to. Hey, shut up, dude. Win some games. If you were the Kansas City Chiefs, I guarantee you the Eagles aren't going to do that to Mahomes because they respect him. Eagles don't respect Deshaun Watson for numerous reasons. They don't respect it. They don't respect it. Okay? Who are you? We're the Eagles. Who are you? We went to the Super Bowl. You were in the outhouse. You don't deserve our respect. I love that attitude. I love that attitude. Hey, man, we're winners. What have you done since you've been in Cleveland? Nothing. Don't talk to me about respect. You get respect by winning ball games. I like what's going on here, man. Now, let me get to Devontae Smith. His legend continues to grow. And Darius Slay's now saying he's going to be the best wide receiver in the National Football League when everything is said and done. That would not shock me. That would not shock me. By the way, how many people think Justin Jefferson's the best wide receiver in the NFL? This pisses me off when I hear this. You really think Justin Jefferson is better than A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith? How many people think Justin Jefferson's better? Honestly, how many Roland goes, I do. I've never seen more meaningless yards and catches by a football player in Minnesota in my life since Tim Brown. They're meaningless yards. The wide receiver position is the only position in the NFL where we look at the numbers and the catches and go with statistics alone on what makes those guys 1, 2, 3, or 4, not meaningful catches. Not games where you show up and you're a star in. Not a game where you just take over like Chris Carter or Randy Moss or Jerry Rice. Just take over games. Have you ever seen Justin Jefferson take over a meaningful game? I haven't. I have never seen Devontae Adams take over. I've seen Cooper Kupp do it. I think Kupp's numbers outside of that 1 year are pedestrian, but he's a good player. Quick twitch, quick in the route, quick in the turn, runs great routes. He's a really good receiver. But the wide receiver position is the only position in the NFL where we look at numbers and go, Tyreek Hill's better than him. That's not true. We don't do that with quarterbacks. Why would we do that with wide receivers? I'll tell you why. Because fantasy football pollutes most people's brains. They think because you have the most yards means you're the better player. That's not true. Shit, those two guys in Philly went to the Super Bowl. And you know how they did it? 1 week it's you, 1 week it's me. 1 week it's you, 1 week it's me. You know what Justin Jefferson did? He piled up a lot of yards that went nowhere. That went nowhere. Markey goes, Jefferson went for 180 yards in his debut game. And? No one's saying he's not good. But there's things called meaningful games where you show up and you have meaningful yards. Here, Jalen Hurts' 350 yards or whatever it was passing in the Super Bowl does not compare to the meaningful yards that Patrick Mahomes had in the Super Bowl. You know why? He won. He won. Jalen outplayed him. No, he didn't. He lost. Jalen kept him in it. Yes. How many times have you seen Tom Brady go for 187, win the game? I saw Tom Brady against you guys throw for almost 500 yards in a Super Bowl and lose. What was more meaningful? The 500 yards and a loss to the Eagles? Or the 154 that he had, I think, against the Rams? Come on, man. Every time I hear people talking about why, watch this. Tyreek Hill, how many people think Tyreek Hill is better than Devontae? The Chiefs don't think so. The Chiefs told him to walk. Hit the curb, dude. We don't need you. They won a game with Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju Smith-Schuster, according to all you experts out there, you guys tell me, with all you experts, that Juju Smith-Schuster's nowhere near Tyreek Hill. Well, shit. Tyreek Hill's got a ring the same way that Juju Smith-Schuster's got a ring. The same way Tyreek Hill's got a ring. The wide receiver position is the most overrated position in pro football. When it comes to looking how you look at meaningful yards and how you rank these guys. Let me ask you this. Who would you really rather have in a game that you had to win? Julian Edelman or Deebo Samuel? Who would you rather have in a game you had to have? Who would you rather have? Mike is laughing. Well, he was a Super Bowl MVP. You know, Brady throws him the ball, you still have to catch it. In traffic. Getting your ass kicked. Deebo? How come Edelman has the most catches in the postseason of any wide receiver in the NFL history in the Super Bowl? And the most yards and an MVP, and he will not be considered at all for the Hall of Fame, ever. There's guys you can count on, there's guys that get meaningful yards, and there's guys that give you fool's gold. Look at Antonio Brown's numbers. The big-time wide receiver is overhyped. Maybe not overrated, but overhyped. Well, he had 1,800 yards and 140 catches. So he must be better than A.J. Brown. Well, I wouldn't say that. How does he fit into that offense? I mean, how about this? Let's put A.J. Brown's numbers into perspective. So the Eagles had the second best running attack in the league, and he had 1,500 yards receiving and 90-plus receiving catches. Shit, dude. That guy was a massive impact on a team that's versatile. They run the ball, they throw the ball. I mean, how many teams in the NFL can beat you with dual threat opportunities to run it down your throat or throw it down your throat? Right? I mean, to me, I look at guys who make premium catches in premium moments. I'll tell you the greatest big time. Dude, I'm never going to take Travis Kelce over Gronkowski. There's not a chance in their prime I'm taking Travis Kelce over Gronk is a joke. Gronk is a big-time playmaking, blocking tight end who beat the living shit out of people, both in the secondary and on the line of scrimmage. That guy is a weapon. He's the greatest tight end to ever play the game. Played it with reckless abandon. You couldn't defend him and had Chris Carter hands. Hey, look, is the benefit having Brady? Of course. Of course. You got a quarterback that gets the ball to you on time. You still got to catch it. The quarterback is the most dependable position in pro football. Do you understand that? The line's got to block. Center's got to get the ball to you. You got to not trip getting back or sacked getting back to your drop. And then you got to pray your wide receiver runs a right route. Then you got to pray your wide receiver catches it. Then you got to pray your wide receiver can turn up and get some yak yards for you. All those things have to happen for a quarterback to have a successful play. When you're a defensive lineman, you beat the guard in front of you, get to the quarterback, and you kill him. I mean, A.J. Brown is a weapon. Tennessee couldn't figure out what to do with him. Can you believe that, what the Eagles have done? The Eagles did two things here, pretty remarkable. They figured out Hassan Reddick, and they figured out the jigsaw puzzle of A.J. Brown as well. Okay? They figured those two jigsaw puzzles out. Actually, three last year. CJ, too. What were the Saints are looking for a slot corner now? They're looking for a slot corner, and they had him on the roster. Eagles spotted it, identified it. So they figured out Gardner Johnson, and then they turned around and figured out Hassan Reddick, and they knew how to utilize A.J. Brown with Tennessee. So Tennessee didn't know what they were doing. Arizona, Carolina didn't know, and the Saints didn't know. Man, that is talent evaluation in your pro personnel people. That's how you win ball games, and economically cheap. Everyone in Philly's going, well, Hassan Reddick's underpaid. Sorry, dude. Okay, sorry, Howie won that one. Victor goes to spoils, man. He got it. He figured it out. He should be rewarded with a lesser contract for a player. He figured it out. That's why he figured out Gardner Johnson, $837,000, making $7 million now. Okay, see ya. They landed on TJ, but they were smart enough to put him in. Okay? Twiz goes to offense ran through Henry. Well, Jesus, man. Then why did you turn around and give $14 million now to DeAndre Hopkins? You know why, Twiz? They realized how wrong they were to let A.J. Brown go. They're covering A.J. Brown's mistake with DeAndre Hopkins. That's what and with an older player. You let a 25-year-old guy out the building for $4 million that they ended up giving to Hopkins. How did that not make – that makes no sense. They're covering their tracks there with that. That's right. The new GM covered for the mistake of the past general manager, who was a hell of a general manager. Absolutely. Mel Reese is going to join us at the bottom of the hour here. Got a boatload of questions to ask him. By the way, we got a boatload of questions to ask you as well. He got fired the day after AJ torched him. Not a shocker, man. Not a shocker. I think Mike Vrabel's next, maybe in Tennessee. I want to show you something here. I wrote a list down here. And I want to ask you this. Before we get Merrill Reese on here, I wrote down the guys that you guys have to replace on defense to be a really good unit. And we've talked about numbers before. How about we look at it as a group instead of just looking at it singly? Okay? We look at the macro here. So Edwards, 99 tackles. Solo, 60, 159. We're assuming Dean does that, right? Or you are. Epps, 92 tackles from the safety position. 68 solo. That's a heck of a year. No wonder he got a nice contract with the Raiders. You know, he may have been the most unsung hero, along with TJ Edwards, on that football team last year defensively. May have been Epps. Dude, I loved him in the spring of last year. If many of you guys remember, I said, I want to give this guy an opportunity. And he was a good ball player last year. There's another guy that flies under the radar that did a lot of the ugly work in the game. See, you guys look at sacks and interceptions, but you don't look at the guys who really did a lot of the dirty work here. Edwards, Epps, and White did all the dirty work. They did all the dirty work. Kaiser White, 110 total tackles. 159, 92, 110. 1, 2, and 3 in tackles. So Murrow, Terrell Edmonds, and Dean have to replace Edwards, Epps, and White. Then you get to the fourth guy. I didn't realize this about CJ. CJ was the fourth leading tackler on the Eagles. 67. We're assuming Reed. And then you got Hardgrave, who was the seventh leading tackler on the Eagles with 60 and 11 sacks. And we're looking at Carter. Throw Carter in there because Davis will never put those numbers up. How do you feel about replacing all that production with the current guys you got on the roster? You see, when Sully says Epps was getting ran over a lot, then why didn't they replace him with Reed Blankenship? When you guys say that and you throw dirt on a guy who performed exceptionally last year to try to make it sound good for the guy that's there today, you're doing him a service to what the expectations truly have to be. Okay? This is the barometer for you to be, again, in the top 5. You've got to replace this production the same way the running backs have to replace the production of Miles Sanders. And you have to replace the production and the level of play of Isaac Seumalo. Okay? Sidney and Blankenship will be on par. Will be on par with that? Okay. So your expectations for Sidney Brown is 92 tackles this year. And for, who did you say? And for Blankenship, Those two guys are going to have to cover, maybe two guys could cover 92 tackles. Micah, this is not fear-mongering. This is a conversation, dude. This is not fear. Where am I saying fear? Have I even thrown shade? I'm asking you a question. I am not throwing dirt or shade on anybody here. I'm asking you, how do you feel about replacing 5 of the top 7 tacklers on your team with the current guys you have right now? How do you feel about that? See, a guy like Joseph here wants to hear people talk like they're cheerleaders. Again, these are just facts. So how do you feel about how about this? Let's just take Nakobe Dean's name out of it, not talk about him, because I see you guys get a little upset. You think you're Mike linebacker, and the current position of Mike linebacker is set. How many people think the Mike linebacker's set right now? Myra goes like this: 0 facts. Here are the facts right here. This is not an opinion. I'm asking you about replacing a ton of production. This is facts. This has nothing to do with an opinion or anything. I'm gonna talk about Sydney. Okay? CJ goes, I don't trust. No. CJ, I forget who made this comment, Tone, yesterday or the day before. I want to know why the Eagles feel so comfortable and confident with the guys that are going to replace these men, and I'd like to see them tomorrow night against Cleveland. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying they can't. I'm not saying they won't. But I want to know why you feel comfortable that you have to replace 5 veteran players who were productive, and 3 of them did all the dirty work, with guys that have never played. I think Reed Blankenship could definitely cover the tackles that the Eagles lose with Epps and CJ leaving. When Blankenship started 4 games while CJ was here, he was able to put up 34 total tackles. Okay. See? That's the kind of answer I want to hear. I think Reed can do it. My question would have been, why wouldn't they have worked him in more, knowing, well, then again, you know what? Maybe with Gardner Johnson, they were still under the notion last year that he was going to be a major target that they were going to bring back in free agency once he became a free agent in March. Probably one of the reasons why Reed didn't get even more playing time. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to move guys in because you know you're replacing. Okay, so you're trying to get playing time for the guys behind him, because eventually once you get to the offseason, you're going to have to make a financial decision. So they probably thought at the time that they were bringing Gardner Johnson back. They probably believed that was the plan, and then it changed with the way the whole chaotic offseason went with Slay and him barking, and probably them watching more film on him as well. Okay? So as the season was going on, they were probably like, yeah, he's part of the future. And Tone goes, they didn't see they didn't see Epps either. So to that point, good. That's where I'm coming from with this conversation. I'm not trying to tell you don't have the people. I'm trying to tell you what's in store for you and what to look for. This is not saying you can't. This is saying this is a pretty tall order for Sean Desai. That's all I'm doing here. Have I said you can't? I think it's going to, hey, I haven't thrown an opinion in yet in it. Okay? I haven't thrown an opinion. I'm just saying this is what's in store for the general manager and the D coordinator. Pete Toilet goes, Sills, I think we play a lot of big nickel to cover up a lack of linebacker. Putting Sidney Brown out there, I like that idea. I actually like that idea. Put a big body guy out there like that, roam him around like a John Lynch back there or a Cam Chancellor. I actually like that. That's creative thinking. That's creative thinking. I like that. Is Desai going to do that? I'll tell you what's becoming more apparent. The influence of Matt Patricia. Let me tell you why. What's the one thing they did in New England besides all the disguise coverages? Man, they love those hybrid guys. And they moved guys all around. Troy Brown used to play wide receiver and defensive back in New England. How many times did you see them putting guys on offense, defense, being creative with players, skill sets that might fit maybe another position, putting Jordan Davis in a 5 technique? I didn't see that coming. Maybe they're trying to find a way to get him one-on-one with someone. Fantastic. If you're going to start doing shit like that, that tells me they're thinking a little more out of the box with their current players, and they believe they're more athletic than what they were a year ago. Jonathan Gannon would never have flirted with putting Brown in a slot or putting Sidney Brown in a slot or anyone else in a slot. He would never have done that. He's not a creative guy. He's a plug-and-play coordinator. Okay? He's a plug-and-play guy. He's got a system. He's going to run it. With the personnel he has, come hell or high water, he's going to live on that vine. I hate coaches like that because you know what that means? There's no in-game adjustments with players like that, with people like that too. That means you're a horrible in-game adjustment guy. Okay? Like I said, there's a lot of production to be replaced here. I'll tell you one thing that is becoming evident too in the practices and in the conversations that I'm having. You actually might have a more versatile defense this year than you did a year ago. Okay? You actually might. Hey, Tone, can you send Merrill a link, please? Thank you, brother. Yeah. Just tell Merrill here he's ready to rock here with us. So let me just say. Got it. Hey, you can't keep the legend waiting, right? Thank you, Tone. Hey, I get it, Tone. I get it. I would say this to you. Let's see how this looks. And what I would also say, don't show too much. Don't show too much against Cleveland. My big concern is New England right now. They're watching everything you're doing. And get this, they're going to be watching the films on the Browns. They're going to be getting the inter-practice games, the organized team activities. They're going to be doing all that. So they're going to get the opportunity to really break down a lot of things that they're doing, because there's no question nowadays more people are taking these organized team activities and they're taking them more. And they're looking at these organized practices a lot more. And boy, I'll tell you, Josh Sweat is having a great camp. Josh Sweat is continuing to have a fabulous camp. He is a really good football player. He is getting better and better and better and better and better every single time that he tees it up against people. I hear nothing but raved reviews about the development that he has right now and how he's becoming a 3-down lineman. His pass rushing techniques are getting better. I mean, his run ability, his ability to set the edges is getting 10 times better. He is, you know what? It would not shock me if he makes the Pro Bowl this year or is a Pro Bowl guy, because he's a special football player. I think he's going to have And absolutely. He's not received it yet, Tone. Yeah, maybe if you give him a call, please, so we can get this going here. He's waiting for us here, and he's not received any of the emails at any of them. So hopefully we can make this happen here. I really like what we're seeing with him. And Tracy says that his get off is better. His edge plays better. I absolutely love the fact that he's really stepping into it. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake. Josh Sweat has gotten better and better and better and better and better. And Tracy's telling me how much he's getting better. I'll say one more thing before I bring Mel Reese in. I said that Jalen Carter will be the next Jerome Brown. I said that on draft day. And when you hear a player like Fletcher Cox going like this, wow, this kid should have been the first pick in the draft. If I was sitting next to him and he said that to me, I'd look over at him and go, holy cow, does that motivate me? I'll tell you what motivates me is our good friend Merrill Reese, and he joins us now here on the National Football Show. Merrill, how about those comments, man? I mean, Fletcher Cox going like this, man. I mean, he sees Jalen Carter, and he goes, this kid should have been the first player drafted in the National Football League. And I'm just hearing he's having a great camp, and he's living up to all the expectations of what people thought his game was going to be. Now he just has to go out and do it.
Well, Dan, I think he probably would have been the first player picked in the NFL draft had it not been for the tragedy, the incident.
I do too. And you know what I love about the environment too, Merrill? I love the fact that you're hearing Darius Slay go, man, this Devontae Smith kid is going to be the best wide receiver in the league. You've got Fletcher making these comments. You got Kelsey talking about Cam Jurgens and Tyler Steen and all these guys. It really shows the leadership in that building.
Dan, there's a lot of leadership in that building. There's a young player. I mean, you're talking about Jalen Carter, of course, but there's another guy out there, the third Eagles draft choice, who I'm going to tell you is going to be a star, and that is Sidney Brown, the safety out of Illinois. He reminds me, and it's always a dangerous thing to say things like this, but just take it to mean there's a feeling I get after watching him for practice after practice. We haven't played a regular game yet, but he reminds me of a young Brian Dawkins. He is a hellacious hitter. He's got tremendous intensity. He's bright and he's dedicated.
You know, I watched him play, and I went back and watched the 22. And I got to tell you, watching him, he runs through tackles like Brian, not two tackles. He's aggressive. He's got a great attitude. They've got to figure a way, in my opinion, to get him on the field, because if you may be a little bit limited at linebacker, I'll tell you what, I'd like to have him play out there like a little bit like Cam Chancellor and like Brian did. And you have him out there like John Lynch roaming around in the middle of that, in that zone back there. Because I'll tell you what, he has a lot of I want to see more of him, and I want to see them get him in the game. I was really impressed with the kid Ricks too in the first game against the Ravens as well.
Well, it's amazing that he wasn't drafted.
I mean, you know what, Merrill? You know what I took away? I took away from that Ravens game this. I was pleasantly surprised by the secondary. And I thought you'd be thin there, but the way that they were talking and going back and forth, and again, like you said, it's not so much that it's an exhibition game, but you're watching them communicate, moving guys over. They're echoing the calls down the line of scrimmage. I think that's a little bit of Matt Patricia and Desai. I think there's some pretty good coaching going on out there. And I think you guys may be a little bit more versatile this year on defense. You may not be as experienced, but you may be a little more versatile and a little more athletic this year.
I think you're right. I think the talent level has improved. I mean, you lost a good man in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I mean, he was a big part of last year's success. but they've brought in some real talent, and I think it's going to pay off. What you add to that defense with Jalen Carter, and you bring in Sidney Brown, I mean, right there, those are two big pluses.
Let me ask you this. Nolan Smith.
Oh, and Nolan Smith.
Hey,
How can I forget? We're talking about the other guys, but Nolan Smith is also going to be a tremendous, tremendous part of that pass rush.
and what I saw in him, his first game, I saw this. This is what I would tell him. Calm down, slow down. It's going to come to you. Sometimes, Merrill, when you're a rookie and you're a high draft choice, you got a lot of expectations on you, and he kind of looked like a rookie a little bit. I think the game will come to him again. If I'm him, he's got a perfect role model in Hassan Reddick to sit there and watch and really learn from.
Yeah, yeah. Haas was great. Haas had 19 and a half sacks last year, including the playoffs. So he is somebody to model yourself after. But Nolan Smith is another guy with a lot of personality and a lot of passion for the game.
I want to throw this at you here. And to me, my biggest concern on your team is Nakobe Dean.
Shouldn't be, Dan. He's
34
special.
snaps.
I'm telling you.
He's got to replace 160 tackles, Merrill.
Don't worry about that. This kid is bright. This kid is athletic. I don't have any concern at all about Nakobe Dean.
The fact that he's hurt a little bit?
A little bit's the key word. He's okay. He'll be fine.
How about Marcus Epps? Do you feel comfortable that Edmonds and Brown and some of these other guys may be able to replace 92 tackles?
Well, again, you're talking about statistics. I don't know. I haven't seen enough of Edmonds yet. I know he had some good years in Pittsburgh. I know he was a number one draft pick, but I haven't seen enough of him to really judge, quite frankly. And let's face it, you talk about a number of tackles. There's no tackling at training camp. Nobody tackles to the ground. I don't know. Other cities they might, but they don't tackle much here. But I think they've got the talent. And again, I mentioned Sidney Brown. I think Sidney Brown will be better than Epps.
I'll tell you somebody that I was impressed with, and I only saw him limited time, and that was DeAndre Swift. Let me tell you this. This kid moving around, Merrill, the way he is elusive, I'll tell you this. If they get that guy 800 yards rushing and 400 yards receiving and 50 catches, what a find. I mean, he is a smaller version of Brian Westbrook. If you can put that guy out there like that, can you imagine putting Brian Westbrook on this offense? Because I think he's a little like that.
It's so funny to hear you say that, because Tuesday night or Monday night, I was sitting there standing there at practice with Brian Westbrook, and Brian Westbrook was marveling about DeAndre Swift. He said, "I just love him." I mean, he said, "Now you see it, now you don't back." He's elusive. How about that room, Dan? There are a couple of very good football players who aren't going to make this roster. When you look at four like DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny, and then Boston Scott, who's just dynamic, and Kenny Gainwell, who played well last year. Those are four great backs. And then you have Trey Sermon, who's a pretty good back, and Lincoln Kennedy behind them. It's a loaded room.
Couple last questions here for you, Merrill. Merrill, tell me this. What's different from this 2023 team that will be different than that 2018 team coming off that Super Bowl win? Why do you have more expectations? Or how about this? I don't know about expectations. More of a positive vibe about this team continuing its success, where that team kind of stumbled coming out of the gate a little bit. What's the difference with this team?
Well, the biggest difference with this team is, number one, Jalen Hurts. He's a top quarterback. He is a terrific quarterback. Now, Carson Wentz in 2017 was maybe the MVP when he went down, but Carson Wentz was not the same player in 2018. He was coming off a torn ACL, a torn MCL, structural damage in his knee, and then he injured a vertebrae. You look at Jalen Hurts, he's coming into the season healthy, and he is such a winner. So you never know. When people say, well, the Eagles, they're a good bet to go back to the Super Bowl. I always say it's a war of attrition. You don't know. Tell me who's going to line up for the Eagles. Tell me who's going to line up for the Cowboys on December 10th. I'll have a better idea. But we don't know. We don't know. But I will tell you, going into this season, this is a better team than that one.
Wow. Okay, finally here. I don't know, man. Maybe the Eagles landed on a quarterback. I was pretty impressed with this Tanner McKee kid, Merrill. I mean, how about the vertical throws down the field there? Now, Mariota probably fits more of the skill set of what the offense is with the RPOs, but I don't know, man. That the kid made me look up and go like this, the kid from Stanford. I was like, yeah, he went on a mission. He's a little older. He kind of handles himself in the pocket pretty well. I was a little bit impressed with him, the way he played in that football game.
I was too, but we're basing it on one preseason game against a bunch of backups. And I'm not taking away any of the credit because he is impressive, but I think it's a little early to make any kind of big, emphatic judgments. And he looks good. He looks like Nick Foles.
Yeah.
He's like Nick Foles. He's about 6'6", and he does have a big arm. But you're right when you say that Marcus Mariota fits this offense better because he can run the RPO, and he's extremely athletic with the ball in his hands, and he's got a strong arm. But for a 6th-round draft choice, and to bring in a kid with this ability, I think right now looks like a real good move.
How many years is this now going into for you covering and calling the Eagle games?
96. Can you believe it?
Holy cow, Merrill was back when you rolled your helmet up and put it in your back pocket.
Dan, it's only 47, but who's counting?
My uncle Robustelli used to say this to me, man, because I got a $400,000 signing bonus, Merrill. He didn't make $400,000 in his Hall of Fame MVP career in New York, right? And Andy goes, yeah, you guys today, this and that. And of course, we say that now about the guys today making all the money. And I go, Andy, you didn't play football, man. It was rugby. You guys put the helmet in your back pocket, went out to dinner, and you went to the you went to the bars. And he's like, no. So, I mean, you were back that far, huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, my first year was 1977.
So that was right before the Super Bowl 80 year.
Well, yeah, it was Dick Vermeil's second year.
Wow, man. He beat I talked to Dick the other day, man. He told me, he goes, we had 3 days, and he goes, we were just watching guys walk out and quit. It was crazy back in those days because he was turning a culture around.
But
Merrill,
I thought it was crazy last year and the year before, and maybe the year before that, because it was so light. It's an hour and a half practice once a day. But you know what, Dan? You know what the proof of the pudding is? The proof of the pudding is that 22 starters lined up for this team at the Super Bowl.
Merrill, I am totally with you on this. I am not a believer in wrecking routine. If something's working, we're going to stick with it. And if they think that the organized team practices are more important than the exhibition football games, then I'm going to sit here and do this. Well, they were healthy, one of the healthier teams the last 2 years. Maybe that's something that they learned also from 18, right, Merrill?
Mm-hmm.
And they learned a bit because they got banged up in 18 that year. Maybe they said, hey, look, we're not going to go down that route. And they're doing it right. I mean,
it's a different approach.
But it's working. So I'm with you. I don't break routine. I know that, I saw the other day they had like a 45-minute practice. I'm like, it takes 20 minutes to get your gear on. I mean, well, I'm like, man, and Coach Vermeil goes like this. He goes,
I don't remember 45 minutes, but I do know that
we slept out in the tents. And then we went to the second practice right there at Pepinroot. And he goes, I know, man. He goes, I don't know how these guys do it today, but we shall see. Merrill, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it as always.
Thank you, Dan.
You bet. The legendary Merrill Reese. Yeah, I'm a big believer. If something's working like that, right? Don't screw it up. Don't screw it up, man. There's no reason to. He's sold on Nakobe Dean. Okay, now you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a page out of one of our viewers. I want to know why they're so comfortable and confident in Dean. I want to know why they're so comfortable and confident. Because I haven't, hey, I will back this up with all of you on him with this. Okay? I will back this up with you. I just want to know why they're comfortable when they haven't seen it. And the only thing you're going on is gut feeling. Okay? Again, it's not shade. Make me feel comfortable while you are. You know, and I was watching Tone and the guys earlier on Sports Take, and everyone's talking about the talent level that's on the team. You got to remember when we're talking about all the new faces that you have, you're really talking about potential. And we're going down potential again. Okay? Potential means you haven't done it. Sean Desai hasn't done it at a top level. There was a little bit of a sample size in Chicago, but nothing really to write home about. So, hey, for tomorrow, do I want to see a ton of Dean? I would like to see 20 plays. Here, let me give you where I'd go. A blind faith is okay to have, Yale. Blind faith is okay to have. It is, because you know why you can have blind faith? Here, I'll tell you why you can have blind faith in Philly. You know why you can have blind faith in Philly? Because they're winning. If you tell a player, I believe in you here, and I think you're going to be able to take the reins from this player here, and when you look back on all the people that they've replaced over the years, and it's been a success, how he's brought people in and made success out of it, you have a litmus test where it's worked, and you have the blind faith. That's why I tell people, and I say this all the time, especially when I'm talking to my Miami Hurricane team. When you got a coach like Jimmy Johnson in your ear, and he's telling you something, and he's telling you to believe that we're going to do this way, and that way, when you know that guy's 51-4 in college football, or he's won 3 Super Bowls in the NFL, you're going to be more apt to listen to that blind faith because you believe that that guy and that Pied Piper is going to carry you through the ranks and get you to where you need to go. Versus people that you keep like when you're in losing organizations, it really doesn't matter who the coach is. Like if you're in Arizona, do you believe anything that Jonathan Gannon says? Okay? Definitely. I called it a year of the Christmas list. As a kid, you want so many things from your Christmas list, but the reality is you don't always get everything you want. When it comes to this team, you have so many high expectations. The reality is every player is not going to hit. Someone will be a disappointment. Here's the thing that happened a year ago, which was the most remarkable thing I've ever seen. Let's take a look at that. Hassan Reddick hit. A.J. Brown hit. Gardner Johnson hit. Kaiser White hit. The 2 backup tackles hit that you signed midway through the season. Zach Pascal hit. Bradbury hit. Go back to your, what was that thing called? The Dream Team? Go back to your Dream Team. Who hit on that team? And you signed just about every superstar there was. I thought Nnamdi Asomugha was going to go to Philadelphia, and I thought Nnamdi Asomugha was going to be a superstar in Philly. He was a turd. I was stunned how bad he played. They gave him a check, and man, I'll tell you what, he cashed it, and he never showed up. That guy never showed up for work. Every time I saw him in a game, it was like he was disinterested and he didn't want to be out there. We don't talk about Nnamdi Sills. Hey, there's another guy, man. Jesse James used a gun when he robbed banks. That guy went in there with a hand and his head down. How you doing? I'm with you, man. Oh, no, he married a Hollywood actress. I got it, man. He didn't want to get hit anymore. He got the Eagle money. He was excellent with the Raiders. I was like, shit, the Raiders let Nnamdi Asomugha go? Wow. He got the Philly? Wow. He was like that Kerrigan kid. The Kerrigan kid in Washington, I thought he was good. Shit, he got the Philly? Talk about another guy that crapped the bed. Yeah. Let's talk about Nick Bosa holding out. Hey, if Bosa holds out, that totally hurts them. What up, Maniac? How you doing, brother? Yeah, he's an actor now? Okay. Look, the one thing that I want to circle back on with this, I am not telling you that you don't have the potential. I think that's something that I should have probably said a couple weeks ago. Maybe why some of you got mad at me. You have to replace all of this production. Let's take a look at this. Let me add this up here. Okay. You have to replace 490 tackles and 5 guys. You have to replace 490 tackles with 5 dudes. Do you have that on the roster right now? 500 tackles with guys that have never played. And some have never played in this system, and some haven't played together yet, really. Do you have that? Yeah, I'll go. Sidney Brown looks like he likes to tackle. He does. Lovey loves him. Here, one thing about him, remember something about his aggressiveness. You understand something. So wait a minute. Let me throw this at you. I heard Tone talking to D Gunn about this. How do you feel about starting? Are you going to feel good with this? Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, Sidney Brown at safety. He's taking snaps with the ones in a first-year or second-year coordinator. So you're going to have no play at NFL except for Jordan Davis in the heart of your defense. You're okay with that? You feel good with that? Carter hasn't played yet. Look, you know I love him. Dean limited role. Davis limited role. Dean no football. Sidney Brown never played either. That's the heart of your defense. You're okay with that? Bill Belichick is going to attack that like you've never seen. He's going to go right at Sidney Brown. He's going to go right at Dean. They're going to run the ball right at those tackles. That's what he does. Some of you think you're going to stop. They're going to stop him. I'm just telling you, rookie quarterbacks don't play well against New England. Not rookie quarterbacks, but rookies don't play well defensively against Bill's guys. Those guys do a great job of identifying the weaknesses on the team. There's not a chance in hell Sidney Brown knows what he's doing yet. There's no chance he knows what he's doing. He's been an Eagle for 4 months. You think he knows what he's doing? You think he even knows how to play in the NFL yet? He hasn't even played it down yet. But you guys are under the assumption he's going to look. I like him too. I want to make sure I back up here and go like this. I like him too. Love Carter. You know that. Okay? Love that. but they're going to attack Jacoby Dean, Sidney. Every time a rookie comes on the field, I told you this before, and I'll say it one more time to you again. You got to remember something. Bill Belichick doesn't attack with his star players. He attacks people offensively and defensively that are new and that are new faces. Like he goes after free agents that have been added to the team, rookies that are playing. He goes after those guys. It's why he has success. There's not a chance in hell Sidney Brown has seen wide receivers or football players at the NFL level that are going to do things schematically and athletically that he saw in the Big Ten. It's not close. It's night and day. When Stephon Diggs or someone like that runs a route versus Sidney Brown, he'll turn him inside out. The key's going to be having some experience back there and not playing so many rookies. I wouldn't want to have that many rookies out there at one time. I want them all playing with experienced dudes. Experience is going to win this year, not athleticism. Not athleticism. Experience beats you in the Super Bowl. Didn't that teach you a lesson? Did that not teach you a lesson? That experience beats you. Not athleticism, not talent. Better coaching, more experience at the quarterback position. That's how they beat you. Okay? That's how they beat you, man. Edmonds will be out there. Hey, I'm good with the Edmonds, Dean, Fletcher, Jordan, bringing Carter in. Carter and Fletcher, that kind of rotation, right. Because then you start seeing guys how they play out there, and you're like, yeah, man, that's good. I like that. Yeah, okay, I got it. Dude, when you play against – hey, when I lined up next to Ed Too Tall Jones and I saw some of the shit that Ed did, I could not believe how I didn't know anything about how to play D-line. He goes, now you got to slide out more, man, because he gets that flat step on you. He's up on the linebacker, and you got to grab him. You could get called for holding. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. He goes, so this is what I do. I cheat to a little bit on the 3 technique on this. And then maybe what I do is I make a quick step inside and kind of false step him. And I'm going like, all of that was all talk. I'm talking to Randy White and then Too Tall Jones. And Leroy Selman's talking to me about how you play the position. And you're going like, yeah, line up in that wide 3, make him take that big jump, come back inside, cross hand chop, swim. Okay. Hey, if I'm Sidney Brown, I'm hanging around Slay and Bradbury. Dude, there's a really great mix, in my opinion. There's a really great mix of veteran guys and young, talented guys. You got a lot of talent. Hey, you got a lot of potential talent. Let me put it that way. You got a lot of potential talent on the team. And like Tone says, are they going to hit 2 years in a row? Well, I'm going to give them the benefit. Let's see it, right? By the way, I wrote these questions down about the Eagle defense. How many of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? I got 5 questions about the Eagle defense. I want to hit on those. Don't forget, our boy Jason Cole's going to join us at 5:30. Also, our good friends at Hooters, the official home of the National Football Show in Big Sills. We so love that they are part of the program. And if you're getting your fantasy drafts together, please make sure that you call them and get all of your tables set up because they are limited. And with Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday football, make sure you do this. NortheastHooters.com. You'll find the 7 locations there, right? Maybe a location nearest you. The King of Prussia one is the one that we're going to be doing all our events at, and we cannot wait. The iconic Hooter girls are going to be there to serve you. How about some of the great specials? 40-year anniversary. 40-year anniversary. That's right, with Hooters here. You buy 10 wings, you get 10 boneless free. That's Tuesdays. Wednesdays, Wing Wednesdays. This is a 40-year tradition, too, that they have with the Wing Wednesdays, right? All you can eat 1983. Kids eat free on Saturdays. 6 items, $6. Fried pickles, you got to try them. I love the steamers there. The sandwiches are off the charts. Love it. Make sure you go to northeasthooters.com to find one of the 7 locations nearest you. And when you go to Hooters, do me a favor, you tell them Big Sil sent you.